What is going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Today we're going to be doing an album review here, and we are going to be doing 1989's debut album from Junkyard. Now, for anyone who is unaware of who Junkyard is, that they are a Southern style hard rock sleaze metal style band with a bunch of attitude, but very heavy on the Southern feel, and they are on Geffen Records. They do get comparisons from like anywhere from like a more Southern Guns N' Roses, which who was also on Geffen, the record label at the time, and maybe like it has that AC/DC blues feel to it as well. Maybe even like a sleazier like Tangier, that type of thing. So bands like that, and at the time though, like 1989 when this came out, what other bands kind of had that feel of Junkyard? Now, like I said, you did have like Tangier, but they weren't very sleazy. Like I feel like Junkyard was kind of a little bit ahead of the game here as far as like being real southern feel sleazy too. Because like at the time, 89, there wasn't sleaze metal was just kind of starting, but then you know, well, once you get to like 1991, 1992, sleaze metal along with the blues in the hair metal genre was starting to really mature, starting to really uh become a thing, have its own crop of bands. So I feel like Junkyard was kind of somewhat early on that. And a lot of people would give credit to this album because a lot of people, this is a lost or forgotten album as well, which we will be talking about in the Forgotten Albums series. And if you guys haven't checked that series out, check the link right here above me. And there's plenty of episodes and plenty of great forgotten albums. And we will be talking about this. But I wanted to kind of touch on this solo just because like I was listening to it the other day. I'm like, yeah, this kind of has to have its own video before I get to 1989 again on the Forgotten series. So, but it did not do very well. The I think it only got to like 100 on the top 500 or top 200 US Billboard charts. And at the end of the day, that's it's all right, but as far as I saw, it did not get any certifications or anything like that. It did get a couple singles. I believe Simple Man, it had a music video, and then also Hollywood was a single and music video as well. And that reminds me because like there was a show on HBO, Californication with David Duchovny. If you guys don't know who David Duchovny is, he was on uh, the X Files. He's Agent Mulder on X Files, and there's a part in that series where they play Hollywood in the background, which Californication does have a decent soundtrack. They do kind of work in some heavy metal and some like old school stuff as well, but it's pretty good in its own right. But it does have Hollywood. So when I first heard that when I was younger, I'm like, oh shit, that's so cool. Because a show in like 2008, you were like, oh wow, they're playing this. Wow, that's cool. So, but like, yeah, so I found this album, I guess technically around yeah, it was after high school, I think. So I was roughly like 20 when I first found this. And then I liked this so much, I ended up picking up the second album, which is a great follow up album as well, which really rivals this. I don't know which one technically is better, but as far as the singles, like I said, Simple Man, Hollywood, great singles, great music videos to have as well. And when we talk about Simple Man, we ain't talking about that Leonard Skinner bullshit, okay?
You with that bullshit.
I cannot listen to that song anymore. I mean, since I was like 12, after 1 year of listening to mainstream radio, I'm like, I do not need to hear this song ever again. It's just so long, so redundant. I cannot stand it. Whenever someone says Simple Man, I think of Junkyard. Ever since I was like 20 years old, I'm like, I don't want that Leonard Skinner. You can get that bullshit out of here. And it's just you hear it on the radio all the time. But then again, you hear the same like five Leonard Skinner songs all the time as well. I think it's an overrated song. I mean, it would that song be as big if it didn't have like the joke attached to it where like everyone just yells Freebird like at a random show or just like anywhere where they're at. I don't know. That I mean, that's kind of what it feels. It kind of feels like an over 8-10 minute long song, and I just do not need to hear that again.
Hey, this is Angie, and this is Brett. We are Smoking Snakes, and you're watching the Crash Course Metal Show. Yeah.
But so let's start out with the album here. Go through some of the tracks. You start off with Blues and Hot Rod. Hot Rod is a little bit of a rockabilly feel, even to it. It has hints of that in it. And then you get track number 3, Simple Man, which I just explained. Great solos in this, very bluesy. Like, and that's the thing. You could argue that it kind of hurt the mainstream success, but I mean, it, it's it's weird because it has that blues, very heavy blues and southern feel to it, but it has that sleazy thing going, and you're kind of like, how do we kind of market this? Because obviously, Guns N' Roses have been out for 2 years, two years now at this point, and you're kind of like, how do we kind of market these guys? And I think one of the things on here, there really isn't a ballad to push. So in 1989, you're kind of looking for that ballad. That's kind of being the marketing thing, which they had the two fast tracks, like heavier tracks compared to a ballad. So you got number 4, Shot in the Dark, which is a really good song in and of itself. Could have been a single as well if it wasn't, like a side B. Then you got track number 5, Hollywood. Really good opening side A. Really good opening 5 tracks. Then you go here to Life Sentence, and then which is decent, more up pace fast track. And then you got track number 7, Long Way Home. I absolutely love like the drawn out, slow mid tempo feel. Not a ballad, but just like really good uh guitar in there, like great tone, everything real feeling behind the riff and the tone on that song. Now I will say this is where you get a little weak. Track number 8 and 9, you got Can't Hold Back in Texas. Uh they're not on the iPod. Those are two that I don't really need to hear. But then you finish off with a great song. Slow, like if you someone could argue with me that this is like the ballad, but to me it's just a slow blues song, and it's kind of funny too. Like, get your hands off my, well, the song is called Hands Off, but he says get your hands off my throat. It's basically him and his girlfriend fighting, kicking him out of the house and shit, and throwing his boots out, and leaving. Good stuff nonetheless. But I wanted to point out before I forget, great solos throughout, but Hollywood, really good chanting chorus as well. But then when it jumps into the solo, it's really cool and like goes right along with the chorus, and really catchy stuff. And like I said, they ended up coming out with 1991, sixes, sevens, and nines, I believe, is the second album. Really good stuff there. I mean, I honestly probably say if you would take off Simple Man on here, I probably visit the second album more, you know. But there's great stuff on both ends on both albums here. I'm not gonna complain if you like one or the other. I'm not gonna fight you on that. And then this is mixed and produced here by Tom Werman. Tom Werman is one of those other producer names that is always somewhere in the mix here in the 80s, in this genre as well. So that's why it sounds like it does as well. And that's just, this is an album that does need to be heard if you are a fan of blues, a fan of Southern style metal or rock, hard rock, and also the sleaze. It has that feel. If you look at the cover, if you look at these guys, it's totally, has that feel to it. And no frills about it. And they're not here, no teased hair. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that sleaze metal kind of brought the human element, not so much of like a superhero or bigger than life feel to the image. It was just like your basic kind of looking guys, but still cool. Still had a look to them. Still had a feel, and just really good stuff. And I think Junkyard does play a part in that. Especially when you're going into the early '90s, then with like a lot of the sleaze stuff coming out and just different things too. Different subgenres of hair metal, let alone just in metal in general. So, but I mean, as far as a rating goes, I think I'm gonna have to give it a 4. I mean, especially when you're in the mood of blues, in the sleaze metal side of things, like this, it get people prop it up for a reason. People that do know of it, people do recommend it a lot when they do know of it. Now, yes, it is a band and an album that is kind of gets forgotten about a little bit, like I said, but at the same time, when someone does know about it, it sticks in their mind. People know who Junkyard is. They don't just kind of put them back on the pile and say, I don't need to hear this anymore, or not recommend these guys or whatever. But certainly, and they did release a third album actually, Triple X or the Joker, and it was like a self-release type deal years later, but they ended up getting released after their second album and never got an official release off the label. And they did, I think, in 2017, release the newest album since basically Six of Sevens and Nines and the Joker, and that album is called High Water. So, but no, guys, for the songs on here to check out, I would certainly say Simple Man, Hollywood, obviously the singles. They did right by the singles. And for one of the like forgotten ones or ones that not many people know about, I would say Long Way Home or Hands Off if you want something on the slower side of things, but still packs punch. Definitely. I mean, you can throw a dart kind of on this album and you'll be all right. Just other than the two, I Can't Hold Back and Texas. Those are just okay. Nothing hateful either, but just ones that just don't get put on the iPod or I go out of my way to listen to. So, but as far as the rating goes, guys, for Junkyard's debut, 1989, let's go with a 4. I mean, I think we had to go with a 4 here. I was teetering around 3.5 because I was trying to think of the second one where I would kind of rank that as well on with this debut. I'm not sure. I think we're gonna go 4 here. We're gonna go 4, maybe sometimes 3.5. But like I said, it's 10 tracks, which is plenty, which is enough. We don't need no more than that, which I think is a charm to this album that it's only 10. But like I said, only 8 are really kind of real memorable and that stick with me. So I think we can easily go with a 4 here. Then we'll do that. We'll go with a 4, straight 4. And guys, let me know in the comments what you think of Junkyard, what you think of their catalog, and then also what you just think of the band in general and of this album. I can't be the only one that thinks this Simple Man is better than the Leonard Skinner's Simple Man. I don't know. I will die on that hill for that because the Leonard Skinner's Simple Man just never did nothing for me. Like, yeah, okay, it's good. It is what it is. But the way it gets overplayed, kind of like Stairway to Heaven type shit, like, yes, it's good, but I don't need to hear it every 2 hours, every single day. Like every time I turn on the radio, something like that is on, and I'm like, that just drives me absolutely insane.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
At the end of the day, that is what led me when I was 12 years old to actually start my own collection and get my own shit because I cannot hack radio, whether that's Hair Nation, mainstream radio, local radio, whatever. It's when you start playing the same shit. After the first couple of days, I'm like, okay, I'll see you guys later. I can't be hacking that. So, guys, thank you for watching the Crash Course Metal Show. Let me know what you think of Junkyard. And if you guys haven't already, click the subscribe button. Hang out with us. Party with us for a little while. We are going to be bringing you plenty more forgotten albums and bands from the metal genre, and we love doing that for you guys. So, until next time, guys, stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this video, check this one out right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.